Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the Conversation. I am excited because we have returning guest, Dr. Angela Chester, and she's going to be talking about her book, which is, and I'm going to look down, it's The Power of She, encouraging women to embrace their strengths. I can't wait to get into this discussion. Hello, Dr. Angela, and welcome back.
Hello, Janet, and thank you for having me back.
I am so excited. So before we really, because this is leading up to Mother's Day, and we want to talk about just women embracing their strengths. What made you decide to write your book?
Oh my goodness. Because of all of the mothers and the grandmothers and the aunties, the sisters and the cousins that have poured into me, I was very, very blessed to not only have strong women in my family, but also in my church family, without name dropping or anything. Some famous women attended my home church, and they were able to look beyond their own fame and just be empowering women that wanted to pass on their knowledge and just be encouraging to the next generation. So I felt like I can't keep all of that to myself. I too have to pass that on and try to encourage the next generation as well.
Mm. So, Dr. Angela, what do you think kind of prevents women really from embracing their strengths? Because, as you said, we're mothers, we're daughters, we work outside the home, we work inside the home, we work in the community, we work in the church, and we do have strengths, but sometimes it's hard for some of us to really embrace them.
You're so right there. I find that many times the problem, the issue, the concern is that you don't want to outdo your own mother, or you don't want to appear to be arrogant, conceited, overly confident, those words that are traditionally used in a negative way, and especially and in particularly for women, right? So we don't want to be perceived that way. So sometimes we dampen our light or turn down ourselves in order to fit into the box, into the scenario, into the situation that others believe that we should be in.
And you know what, as you were saying that, you're right, because, when women have certain characteristics of strength, specifically in the work environment, they're perceived almost in a negative way. And you're right. Sometimes we do try to suppress it because it's like, I want to feel like I'm getting along. I don't want to feel like I'm difficult. So thank you so much for sharing that, because you are right. It's like we suppress, but we're very strong, you know, women. So what are some ways for women who are like listening and they're saying, you know what, it's time for me to step into it, not only just for myself, but maybe for my children, maybe for women I feel like I need to mentor? How should they step into those strengths?
Absolutely. That is a great question. One of the things that I suggest is that you step into your feminine power. And what I mean by that is, however God made you, woman, be that woman, right? Like, we don't have to take on male characteristics, male mannerisms. We don't have to tap into our masculine in order to be strong and powerful women at what we do. So let's be our authentic feminine selves, whatever that looks like for you. All right. The other suggestion that I would say is walk in your self-esteem and in your self-confidence. Pour into yourself. Find someone who can mentor you or be a mentor to someone else so that your self-esteem and your self-confidence tend to continue along that positive plane, or if not anything, increase, right? So we want to be in that positive place. And then I would say to, that's a good question. I would say continue to pull upon the strengths of those women that have encouraged us, but make it a modern version. Right. So my grandmother has poured into me all of her years. However, she was born during a different time. Instead of saying, well, what do you know? You were born in 1908, right? Take the wisdom that she has for you and apply it to today's situation. Greece is still greasy. The sun still shines. So we have to learn how to take that wisdom, that age old wisdom, and just apply it to the things that are happening in our lives today. And I think that that will help us be the strong women that we've been created to be.
And I think you're right about that because my mentor, she'll be 80 this year. And it's just interesting, like you said, she grew up during a different time, but you can like really almost glean that wisdom from her and just kind of make it appropriate for this time now because I just love having my conversations. And actually, I'm making a conscious effort. We try to meet at least every other week, schedule time so we can just talk and I can just kind of like hear her wisdom. And of
Yeah.
course, she's all, and what I like about her also is she's open to just kind of hearing what's really the new and what's going on. But then she always turns it back around to, her wisdom as well. So thank you for
Isn't
sharing
that
that.
wonderful? And that,
Yes, it
to
is.
me, that's part having that exchange, because you never know what's going to spark a different or new conversation with that mentor simply because you guys are sitting down having lunch or there's a little meet and greet, and she says, "How do you feel about something that's going on?" And you express yourself, she expresses herself, and together you guys say, "Well, what if the
Mhm,
world decided?" And you
mhm.
create a new mindset, a new way of thinking. Having that positive mindset is so incredibly powerful. And again, just because someone is of a different generation, it does not mean that they are not useful, that their information is not relevant. I think it really depends on the person receiving the information and how we're able to, like you said, glean what we need off of that, take what we need and gently place the rest over to the side, because perhaps it's not for us, but it's for someone else down the road. There's so many ways that we could look at that. Everyone serves a purpose, and we should really learn to appreciate that.
And I truly believe that, Dr. Angela, because even with my goddaughter, it's like, I try to be the best mentor I can for her. But also, every now and then she'll give me a nugget because I think I was just struggling with doing something. And she said, well, you know what, Janet, all you really have to do is schedule. I said, you know what? That does make sense. I think sometimes we're thinking about this elaborate answer and it's just like the simplest ones. So, yeah. And I think it is important, like you said, to not only just have, that mentor, but also to mentor people as well.
Mhm.
So, I always ask you this question, Dr. Angela, and I probably already know the answer to it. It's like just because see, you're an author and you're a speaker and you're a mother and you're in the church, you're in the community, you got your clients and of course we're approaching Mother's Day, but really how do you take care of yourself as a mother, but also, just as a woman and embracing, your strengths.
Absolutely. That is such a good question. And I think one of the things that we have to learn is to pour into ourselves. We always hear, that you're a servant leader for church and it's about caring for others. Absolutely. So many women are caretakers for their aging parents. Absolutely, you should be. So many are moms or wives or adoptive moms, whatever. Even if you just have fur babies, right? You're still mothering something. Like all of these roles that we have. And I try to use this example because most people can relate. When we are on the plane and we are traveling from one place to another, before we leave the ground, what does the flight attendant tell us to do? Should we hit turbulence, right? And it becomes a little uncertain up here in these blue skies, and the oxygen drops down. Put your mask on first before attending to those around us. And I think that that applies to life in general. There will be turbulent times in our lives. Sometimes it is self created chaos, sometimes it's drama from other people, but sometimes it is just the road of life because the path gets worn. And we have to remember to put on our own oxygen and take care of ourselves. For me, that is making sure that I am eating well, that I am getting enough rest, that I am doing those things that really matter to me, listening to the music that I want to hear, watching TV that I want to, or programs that I want to watch, right? As well as doing those things with my family that matter for them as well.
And I think that's important, Dr. Angela, because I think sometimes as women, we feel like we got to keep going, going, going. And I shared with a fellow speaker trainer, I said, I did a training last week and I was completely exhausted afterwards. So what I did was I had something else, another meeting. I did that meeting. I put on my little fuzzy robe and slippers and I called it a day.
Absolutely. And if we don't time block, then we don't protect ourselves.
Hmm.
So self care is also understanding that boundaries must be set and adhered to. So if your boundary is from 1 until 3 o'clock, that is my time where you might take your lunch or just go outside and take a walk, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the time frame is, but if you've blocked it off for yourself, don't allow others to impede upon that time. Unless really and truly the house is on fire, like there is an emergency, you have to you have to condition others to respect your time. And that can be hard at first because people will say, "Oh my goodness, I just needed to tell you." And it's like, I understand and I love you too. But right now, I have to love on me so that I can continue to love on everyone or be there for everyone. So just learning to be our best advocate for ourselves, I think will really and truly help. Like I'm a foodie, and that's one of the ways that I give back to myself. Today we're going to a new restaurant. Restaurant number 10. What is it? Boom. That's where we're going. And that's how I love on me. And then in turn, I now have a new place that I can introduce to someone else and continue to kind of share that love. But first, I have to go and experience and kind of pour into me.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Dr. Angela. And hopefully somebody watching or listening will truly take that message and that tip and really apply it to their lives. And like you said, it's about scheduling. You know, 2 hours, sometimes it could just be a few minutes, just stepping aside and just breathing. Can we just breathe?
Absolutely. 10, 15 minutes, 5 minutes sometimes. you
Yeah.
know and it doesn't have to be fancy, Janet. I think people think that self-care has to be a luxury spa day. It doesn't. If you work in corporate America, sometimes it just means going and sitting in your car in the parking garage for 5 minutes to collect your thoughts and just breathe and just have a moment
Mm-hmm.
to say, "Okay, God, thank you," whatever it is, or "Okay, God, take this away," or
Mm-hmm.
"Universe, help me," however you pray, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
how your faith system allows you. But just have that moment to connect, right? And shake all of that other stuff off and then
Mm-hmm.
continue to move forward. It doesn't have to be overly done, it just needs to be done.
And that is so true. That is so true. So you heard it from Dr. Angela. All of you out there in corporate America, please take your breaks and your lunches. You know how I'm an advocate for that. Please, please
Yes.
give yourself a moment just to breathe. Give yourself a moment just for your eyes to rest because we're looking at these screens all day long. So, Dr. Angela, how can people connect with you? How can they get your book?
Yes, thank you so much for that. So, I try to make life really easy for people. If they go to my website, drangela.chester.com, drangela.chester.com, they can learn a little bit more about me. They can click on the book tab, and that will bring them to all of the books that we have available. And of course, The Power of She is available for everyone. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it off of our website, whatever really is best for folks there. But everything they need, social media and all that is there. Social media, I'm Dr. Angela Chester as well.
And of course, I will have a link to her website so you can purchase her book, but I'll also have a link to all of her social media platforms so you can connect with her directly. Dr. Angela, once again, thank you so much for your time. As always, I enjoy talking to you.
I always enjoy talking to you, Janet. Thank you for having me.